Raceway Park has been a part of the Truck Series since its inception in 1995. A top 10 starting spot has been essential in going to victory lane at this track. Welcome to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series AAA Insurance 200 qualifying on speed. A gorgeous afternoon here in the Indianapolis, Indiana area. It's 81 degrees, partly cloudy, just a slight breeze to keep everyone cool, and we hope cool heads prevail on pit road. A big day here on speed. Trackside will follow us immediately after qualifying. Greg Biffle, Juan Pablo Montoya will be the guests on that show, and then it's Chris Devoda kicking us off right here at O'Reilly Raceway Park at 7:30 p.m. with the setup, and the green flag will fly just after 8 o'clock for the All-State 200. Let's go trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, it's been a pretty good year for Kyle Busch in NASCAR racing, and especially over here in the Camping World Trucks. He's got 2 wins and 2 second-place finishes. But remember the last time he went short track racing? A 17th at Martinsville. Well, we're back here on the short tracks tonight, and Kyle was not happy at all with his number 51 truck in the first round of practice. They went to the right front and made a big change on the chassis here. Took the spindle off, made major geometry changes, but the problem was Kyle had to go over to the big track at Indy to practice, so he has not been back in this truck since they made the big changes. The first time he'll know exactly what he's got is when he goes out to qualify. Adam?
And Ray, the good news for Kyle Busch, he actually goes out late in this qualifying session. Mike Skinner also plans to race on Sunday in the Brickyard 400. He goes out third in this session. Perhaps driver 5 can rely on experience. He won the first 2 races here at O'Reilly Raceway Park, both times starting on the pole, and in each he led every lap. The question is, guys, can he make it in time for his qualifying run?
Well, we hope to see Mike Skinner obviously getting here in time. He is the 3rd truck to go off for qualifying, so he will have to pick it up a little bit if he wants to make it into that qualifying spot. Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons for qualifying today. I mentioned normally at every track it's important to start up front. Here, really important.
You don't think it's important. The reason Mike Skinner and Kyle Busch need to be here to qualify, 13 of the 14 times we've been to this racetrack, the winner has come out of the top 5. Never farther back than the top 10. The average starting position of the winner here is 2.7. So this is a very, very tricky racetrack. Track position is really critical. A lot of the crew chiefs will employ strategy to make sure their trucks are up front late in the going.
How about this? Looks as though we've got a few drivers making their way from the big track over here to, well, we call it the little track, but it's got a big punch. And Michael Waltrip's going to be joining us here for qualifying. He is in a police escort on his way over from the big track at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Tonight, it all gets kicked off with Chris Devoda on the setup at 7:30 p.m. And then at 8 o'clock, the big race takes place right here on the little track. The Camping World Truck Series will shine tonight under the lights. We'll be back for the first trucks to roll here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Speed's presentation of the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series qualifying from O'Reilly Raceway Park is brought to you by Camping World. Visit Camping World for your truck, tire, and towing needs. Kyle Busch out of the helicopter and making his way to the infield where he'll get ready for his qualifying effort. A busy schedule for a few different drivers making their way back and forth from the big track to O'Reilly Raceway Park. One of those obviously being Kyle Busch. Another one is actually Mike Skinner, who's doing double duty this weekend from here and the big track. We take a look at our point standings as we have completed 12 races in the 2009 season. Ron Hornaday, a 96-point lead over Matt Crafton. We thought there was going to be a question mark with those points after Ron Hornaday had a heart issue last week at Kentucky, but no points were given to them.
Yeah, just a monetary fine, and Rick Wren was put on probation, the crew chief. But we're used to seeing this point battle a lot closer than it is. And I'll tell you, this probably will not be a picture of how this point battle is going to look at the end of the year. It always comes down to the very last lap at Homestead, Florida.
A couple teammates there. Ron Hornaday sitting down. Ricky Carmichael was standing up next to him, and Ray Dunlap is close by, right?
And Ricky and Ron having a little conversation about the day here. And Ron, 2 wins here at this track, and both times you started second. And the guys in the booth were saying qualifying so critical at this racetrack.
It is, and you know, they changed the tire here a little bit, and Ricky's fighting loose, and I'm fighting tight right now, so we're trying to go in between the middle of it. So we'll see. We've changed a lot of stuff on our truck, and I know they changed a lot of stuff on Ricky's truck, so we'll see what qualifying gives us.
All right, Ricky, your impressions of ORP and your race truck and the weekend.
Well, I like the track. We've been struggling a little bit, really free getting in where I need to start my turn, so that's never good. But just frustrating, man, because you run so good one weekend and come the next weekend and you're kind of off the back, if you will. But, you know, I have good hopes for the race. It's so much different in the race than any practicing or qualifying. But I got the best teammate in the world and a great sponsor, and glad to be here.
All right, the truck that Ricky will be driving tonight, Kevin Harvick has already run a race in, and Ron Hornaday's truck is brand new to the racetrack. And now we need to check back in with Adam Alexander.
And we hear from Brian Scott Ray, who has been on a roll lately. 3rd, 2nd, and 6th in your last 3 events. And that runner-up finish at Memphis, a track not too different than here. So how do you set up for this afternoon?
Yeah, unfortunately, everybody's chasing that man, Hornaday. We were the truck to try to take a run at him at Memphis, and I think we were the truck that could have beat him at Kentucky. But in the long run, he just saved his stuff a little bit better at Memphis and came out on top of us. In Kentucky, we had bad luck. Man, everybody's just chasing him now. He's won 4 races, 3 in a row. He's on a hot streak. He's one of the best ones out there in these short tracks, you know, between a half mile to a mile long. Flat track, he's going to be tough to beat, and hopefully we'll just keep our challenge up. I mean, we've been good enough to run with him the last couple of weeks, and if we can capitalize, not have any bad luck, and get up there, hopefully we can end his little hot streak he's on, and maybe it'll be my turn.
Good luck in qualifying.
Thank you.
Guys?
Brian Scott trying to keep his momentum going. We'll get a closer look into, well, what Ricky Carmichael does away from the racetrack. And that will be in the setup with Chris Devoto. Kyle Busch made his way into the track area. Well, what does Kyle Busch read when he's on the plane?
He's reading about Juan Pablo Montoya right now,
like
I think.
NASCAR scene. So hopefully he's all caught up on all the gossip that's taking place in NASCAR. The first truck will roll when we come back to O'Reilly Raceway Park. Welcome back to AAA Insurance 200 qualifying from O'Reilly Raceway Park, about to get underway. I want to welcome Michael Waltrip. You are another driver doing double duty, one broadcasting and one driving. So thank you for hustling over here to join us.
Yeah, we got done practicing about 5 minutes early in the Napa Camry and jumped in my Tundra and followed a policeman over here. And actually, I beat Kyle Busch. He was.
Yeah, you drove and he flew in a helicopter.
And when I was driving in the.
You may have been flying too.
Well, we were going at a
significant,
legal rate of speed.
Close to legal rate of speed.
It was fun. I like coming over here, and to me, this is part of the whole week. You know, here in Indy, coming over to ORP tonight with the truck. Last night with the Silver Crown cars. Tonight, trucks tomorrow, nationwide. I know racers just love this joint. You're with the racer down there on pit road, I think, huh?
Right.
Absolutely, and that'd be Jason White. And a great round of practice here this afternoon. What do you expect for qualifying?
Well, hopefully we get a top 5. The truck has been awesome. Joey Arrington horsepower. The guys, Doug and the guys have worked awesome, and we're excited about today. And get a top 5, we'll be excited.
All right, go get him. Jason White about to get in that gun broker number 23.
First on the track, Colin Brown. And Colin Brown, a lot of times we say the first truck to go out on the track has a little bit of a disadvantage, but Colin Brown was the fastest coming off the track in our final practice earlier today.
Yeah, the track has sat though for a couple hours now, so you know, I don't think the weather is going to change much. Qualifying goes fairly quickly here at a short track at O'Reilly Raceway Park, so I don't know that it's going to be a huge disadvantage for Colin. We'll see what he does on lap number 1. 22.808. That's a pretty darn good first lap. It's about a 10th and a half slower than what he had practiced, but that could very well be eclipsed by this lap right here.
Yeah, that's faster than any lap in the first session. So you know the track's there, the track's ready. I bet you Colin picks it up a little bit on lap 2. That's usually the trend on the short tracks, Phil. You run a little bit quicker on lap 2. Is he able to do so?
A lot quicker. 3.5 tenths of a second quicker. 22.458. 109.965, and that's about 3/10 of a second faster than the pole was last year. Goodyear brought a little bit different tire this time, both left and right with a little more grip, so that's why I think the speeds are up a little bit this year.
Tires make all the difference in the world here on any track, really, but especially you get a short track when you can get a grippy tire, go out and get some confidence in your truck in that first lap, and then he ripped off a lap around here that's a couple tenths quicker than anybody ran all day so far, right off the bat.
Looks like Eric Almirola may be the next truck to go. He may be having trouble getting that truck started.
They're going to push him ahead a little bit and maybe give Skinner a chance to squeeze around him, Phil.
We haven't got the report yet as to whether Mike Skinner has gotten here or not.
Yeah,
so,
haven't heard yet, but he's another one of the drivers that's doing double duty. So Mike Skinner, as we mentioned, was third in line.
He's obviously there because Mike Skinner is now pulling out around Eric Almirola. Eric was very, very quick. The quickest truck in first practice, 10th quickest in the second practice, or overall, I should say. But Mike Skinner just coming off the Brickyard, where he's running, averaging about 175, 176 miles an hour. And now he's going to go out here and average about 105 or maybe 110 miles an hour.
But I'm telling you, that Brickyard, that's a fun racetrack. Not, you carry so much speed down in the corner and it looks like a tight turn, but there's just something about this ORP that's intimidating to a driver. And I think it's, it's a tight confines. You run out near the wall on a short track in the turns. You don't usually do that. When you come off turn 2 right there, you're taller than the wall. And so it looks like you could run out into a cornfield when you exit off turn 2. This track, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but you watch this cat. 180 over to Brickyard, and he'll jump in this thing and be right up front.
It's probably 130 on the straightaway here, maybe 135. And I was telling Rick earlier, great first lap, 22.560. That's only about a tenth of a second off Colin Brown's best lap. You don't think these guys are going fast? Stand by the wall down here about the start-finish line and tell me they're not going fast.
And it's a thrill ride as a race car driver to run a lap around this little bitty racetrack as fast as you go, like Phil said, and have to do it right out next to the wall. It's a thrill ride.
So close to knocking Colin Brown off the pole, but he doesn't get there. Second quick now for Mike Skinner. Adam Alexander.
And Colin Brown celebrating for a moment. He is the quickest driver, and a little debrief with the crew there. How'd you feel about the run?
Well, I felt good. I felt like we had a good truck right as soon as you rolled off the truck here. These guys on this number 6 Conway Freight, True LTL, Ford F-150 have been working really hard. Unfortunately, had that crash there in Kentucky, so that really set us back. And, it's neat to just see these guys really dig in and get us a great truck here for this week. I feel really comfortable about it. The guys have been having some great pit stops back at the shop, so we can keep having good pit stops and, keep having this fast truck up at the front. It'll be a good day.
Driver 6 at the top of the board for now, Ray.
Well, Adam, down here at the front, the red top Toyota, has the hood up for Eric Almirola. And basically what happened is he accidentally bumped into the kill switch on the steering wheel. The drivers have the ability to stop the power to the engines. When he bumped that, then they reset it. They took the steering wheel off, they unplugged it, and now absolutely no power to the engine. So the guy's checking over all the electrical system here on the 15. But Eric says for sure he knows that he did hit the kill switch, but for whatever reason, they're not able to rectify the problem.
And again, Eric Almirola was supposed to go onto the racetrack second for qualifying. TJ Bell just completing his second lap of qualifying, 22.705 for TJ Bell. So he is third quick of the 3 that have been on the racetrack. We'll be back for more qualifying right after this. Qualifying continuing here on Speed. It's Ricky Carmichael's turn on the clock.
Coming off a best career finish last week of 7th at Kentucky. He was riding a little wave of emotion getting here to this racetrack.
Well, and I talked to that team down in the garage area last week in Kentucky, and they went to Kentucky and tested an ARCA car all day long on Monday after the 4th of July. They said it was a little tough getting up on Monday morning to head to Kentucky to test an ARCA car that they weren't even going to race, but that's how committed and how professional this Kevin Harvick organization is. They wanted to give that young man right there every chance he could possibly have to be successful at Kentucky, and it paid off. Career best finish.
Yep.
We heard him chatting down there prior to qualifying, not real proud of his truck here. He says his is a little loose and Ron's a little tight. How do you use 2 teammates and figure out how to work on that, Phil?
One go halfway one direction, the other one go the other half, back the other way.
And it looked like he was terribly loose then. You saw him sliding sideways, but he picks it up pretty good.
Second lap for Ricky Carmichael, a improvement, 22.826 is his quick time, and he is the 4th quickest of the 4 that have been on the racetrack. Let's go back down to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. At the top of the show, I told you that Kyle Busch went over to the big track. Brian Eichler, who's standing to his right, was the driver of that number 51 while Kyle's absence here. And Kyle, you got to jump in a truck that you haven't practiced since they made some big changes. Your thoughts about it?
If it's good, it'll be good. Once you know a line around a racetrack, you pretty much just go out there and give the thing what it'll take. You roll into the corner, and if it'll allow you to roll faster, then you just let go of the brakes. So if it's a fast truck, then it should be able to qualify at whatever speed. But Man, we fought that thing earlier this morning. We were pretty bad, and Doug decided to just wholesale changes, and you know, hopefully everything worked out this afternoon, and you know, maybe we'll have something that'll drive good tonight. We were fighting, turning the center, and turning continually off the corner. And Brian says we got the center okay, but we still didn't get the exit very good. So unfortunately, there's more to be done back at the shop.
All right, we wish you good luck. Kyle Busch will be getting in that 51 here at the late part of the order, guys.
That cat there is going to be disappointed, Rick Allen.
Yeah.
We talked to him prior to qualifying, looking for a top 5 qualifying run, solid in practice, but that truck was out of control, wasn't it?
Yeah, his second lap sideways coming out of turn number 2, and so he did not improve on his second lap, which we have seen everyone else do up to this point.
Yeah, Jason was second quickest first practice, third in the second practice, and that's pretty good wiggle right there off the corner.
Look at the rubber he's laying down there. It tells you how fast how much power these things got. They can spin the tires. He's already running 100 miles an hour, and he broke the tires loose.
You know, and a lot of times when guys say, okay, I was loose qualifying, that may bode well for the race, but a lot of the talk in the garage here, Michael, was that these trucks get looser at nighttime here. You know, they get a little bit of a dew on the racetrack,
right.
And the truck will actually get a little bit looser at night.
Well, Jason White was running real low on the racetrack in the center of the corner, and then trying to cut low off. If you've got a truck that'll work good down there, that'll bode well for tonight.
Obviously, Eric Almirola got the car or the truck running, and so his first lap, he is 4th quick on lap number 1. Let's go back down pit road and Adam Alexander.
And Rick, qualifying for Mike Skinner, a 2-part equation. Part 1, get here and make it into the truck in time for qualifying. You did that, so how would you rate the lap?
It was good. Our Tundra ran really good. I just want to thank Exide for being with us this week, and Toyota Tundra. It was a really good lap. I had to lift coming off a 2 over there, and that was the difference in sitting on the pole and not.
A 2-time winner here at O'Reilly Raceway Park. Mike Skinner can go get off his feet for just a bit, something he's not done much of today.
Yeah, Mike Skinner 2nd quick. Eric Almirola clocks in 4th quick of the trucks that have been on the racetrack. He also didn't improve on his 2nd lap, so he had to take his first lap 22.763.
Another young man on the racetrack right now, Brian Scott. And boy, has he been on a roll. Ever since he broke his wrist in Michigan, he has been on a roll.
You know, it makes for, if you're Eric Almirola, Ricky Carmichael, Jason White, they're the bottom 3 trucks out of the 7 that have gone. Already they got to be thinking, now what are we going to do? How are we going to fight our way through all these trucks that are going to out-qualify us and get up to the front? And that's a tough night's work, but that's what their mindset has to become. Now, okay, we didn't do well in qualifying. How are we going to rally from that? How are we going to overcome that?
You know, we were talking, Rick and I were talking before we would started qualifying that, you know, this, a little bit sideways off the corner for Brian Scott. This race has never been won from farther back than 8th. And 13 of the 14 times, it's been from a top 5 start. So qualifying matters probably here more than anywhere we run.
I agree.
Brian Scott, 2nd lap, slows down. 22.701 on his first lap, was 3rd quick.
Almost a carbon copy of Jason White's second corner on a 2nd lap, a little bit sideways, some more black marks there.
Jason and Brian wish that they would give style points for qualifying too. Right?
He seemed to keep his momentum up a little bit better, but obviously wasn't able to improve on that 2nd lap. Let's go back trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, David Starr has climbed into his Zachary truck, and David, the last 6 races for your team has really been excellent with 11th or better in every finish, but now we're back to short track racing. So what do you think for tonight?
Well, it'll be an action-filled race. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series, we always put on a heck of a show here, but my Zachary Toyota Tundra was pretty awesome in practice today, but that really doesn't mean anything when you race that ORP. It's action-filled, and you never know what the night's going to bring, but we do got a good truck, and we'll just hopefully be there at the end. If you can be there at the end, you'll have a good finish. It's just crazy out there. It's going to be fun.
All right, we wish you good luck. And, guys, over the last couple of seasons, of course, David Starr right at the top of the list when we're talking short track racing.
And you know, he has probably got the only smile that you can see in a full-face helmet. I mean, you can still see the ends of his mouth up above the front of his helmet.
Look at that front of that truck bouncing, Michael, going through the corner there. Obviously, these guys trying to get on the springs, qualifying, but that truck is really doing some bouncing through the center of the corner, and that truck right now is the slowest of the 7 trucks, or I'm sorry, of the 8 trucks that have qualified.
Yeah, guys, the last 4 trucks have actually had their fast lap on their first lap. They haven't improved. So we'll see if that trend continues or if they'll pick it up on the second lap. Can anyone take Colin Brown off the top of the charts? We'll find out. Big Block Thursday on speed. 3 big hours of races, chases, and crashes. First at 8, it's Pinks All Out. Then at 9 on Jack, an unexpected surprise forces the entire unit to scramble in hot pursuit. And at 10 on Wreck, a vicious windstorm wreaks havoc in Chicago. Big Block Thursday on speed. That's 8 p.m. Eastern when it all kicks off. Johnny Sauter on the racetrack now.
What a terrific dogfight we're having for the Rookie of the Year battle. Johnny's one of those guys in that battle along with James Busher.
Taylor Malsom.
Got a good 3-way battle going.
Speaking of 3-way, he was involved in one of the coolest 3-way finishes I've ever seen before.
Sure was.
Right here.
Yeah, finished second right here. Got passed real late. Chad Chaffin, I believe, passed him. Was that 2004?
We really thought that Johnny had that race wrapped up. He was strong.
It was 2004.
It was a crazy mix-up, crazy racing at the end of that. Just like we've heard other drivers say, things go nuts here. David Starr said it's crazy out there, and it was crazy in 2004 when he got passed on the last lap by Chad Chaffin.
Adam Alexander.
Eric Almirola quick in practice, Rick, but some anxious moments before your qualifying run. So did everything get sorted out?
I think so. I don't know. It just wouldn't fire up. We unplugged everything, turned all the power off to it. I unplugged my kill switch on the steering wheel and replugged everything back up, turned all the power back on, and it was fine. So we're not sure exactly what the problem was, but we fixed it. So hopefully we don't have any more issues tonight. And I think we're going to be good tonight in the race trim. We were good in practice yesterday. So
they were solid last week at Kentucky. Currently 5th is Eric Almirola.
Really 2 top 5s in a row for Eric Almirola. The last 2 times out, 4th and a 5th place finish.
This is Butch Miller on the racetrack now for his qualifying effort. His first lap, 23.391. Butch in practice earlier, 23.864 was his fastest, so quite a pickup for Butch Miller here in qualifying.
When I was a kid growing up, Rick, that guy right there was as good as there was on the short track.
Sure was.
You think of short track racing, you'd think of Butch Miller, Mark Martin, Mike Eddy, all the guys from up in the northeast and
Midwest,
also Midwest.
Yeah. Michigan, Butch being from Michigan originally.
Butch Miller's time, 10th quickest of the 10 that have been on the racetrack. It's Taylor Malsom's turn now on the track. That's a name that we mentioned as far as one of the Rookie of the Year contenders in that 180 Toyota Tundra.
What a hard break for him last week, though. What a great run he had going. Ended up getting some contact from another truck, cut down his left rear tire.
Well, look at him. He looks like he's about 12. and he was out there leading the race at Kentucky, having restarts against Ron Hornaday. And you know, he gained so much knowledge and so much experience in that race Saturday night. And it's with him right now. He has that. It was heartbreaking, but darn, it had to be fun for that young man to be up there battling those guys for the win at Kentucky.
And with all the trouble he had, he still ended up with a top 15 finish.
Yeah, I talked to Rick Wren earlier today, and he said, boy, that 81 was so strong. And he really thinks a lot of Taylor Malsom as well. He said, this kid's on his way. He starts to figure out that restart process, and he will be very tough to beat.
Well, it's just really refreshing to see a young man like that come in the sport, get him a chance to race some quality equipment like this, and then do the job right up to the 3rd spot here at ORP.
He improves on lap number 2, 22.684. So Taylor Malsom now has moved up into the top 3. Ray Dunlap.
Well, Rick, I'll tell you, if they gave out an award that was called the "This Team Was Running Great But Got a Crappy Finish" award, Stacy Compton, you'd have had it about 10 times this season. Are you guys ready to turn this thing around?
We are, Ray. I tell you what, you know, we ran so good the last really 8-9 weeks. We just haven't been able to capitalize on it. And but we keep putting ourselves in a position to do that. Sooner or later, I mean, we keep saying we're just the chosen one right now, and we just can't catch a break. It'll change. I mean, we just, you know, the guys that work so hard on the Safe Auto Toyota, every week we're seeing changes, we're seeing improvements and getting better, and we'll have some luck go our way in a little while. When it does, it's going to be big.
We hope so, and they were pretty good in practice here at ORP this afternoon, guys.
Thank you, David Starr, now on the racetrack.
Done a great job on these short tracks in the truck series. Very weak, strong on the short tracks, but man, he's got a long way to come tonight unless he does something big on the next lap, Phil.
Yeah, if he keeps it straight, he should be able to pick up a little bit. He may run, you know, a couple tenths quicker, and that may move him up in the top 6 or 7, but certainly no guarantee.
In practice earlier today. 22.783 was the time that David Starr was able to turn. Let's see if he improves on lap 2 of his qualifying effort. He does. 22.746. So he improves on his practice time, and he also moves all the way up to the 6th spot here in qualifying. There have been 12 on the track. We'll be right back for more qualifying here on Speed. Tomorrow, the Outlaws return to Speed for the Firecracker 100. It's the greatest show on dirt. Don't miss the World of Outlaws late model series from Lemmerville tomorrow at 3:30 Eastern, only on Speed.
From where?
Lernerville.
No. Yeah, Lernerville. Did I say, I put an M in there, didn't I?
You put lots of extra letters. It was fun to listen to. I wouldn't know how to get there.
I just want to thank Keith for helping me out with that, on my pronunciation.
Talk about a guy in a roll now. Ever since he went over to Red Horse Racing, they have been on it.
They had a great run at Kentucky.
Career best finish there. First top 5 for Timothy Peters. Finished 4th.
Oh, 3rd spot.
22.599 for Timothy Peters. He bumps Taylor Malsom down a spot.
And the roll continues for Timothy Peters.
It does. Very impressive run for Timothy Peters. Let's go back trackside to Adam Alexander.
And you guys talked, Rick, about the educational process last week for Taylor Malsom. You learned a lot at Kentucky. How would you assess week 1 at O'Reilly Raceway Park?
I'm pumped how it's going here. I mean, we're having a good weekend so far. It's been a lot of fun learning this place, but you got to run the top and bottom, which is you don't usually see it on a short track, so I'm really excited to be here.
And he is in the top 5. A good starting spot for driver 81 tonight, Ray.
And Adam, back down to the front of the line here. Let's hear from a newcomer. This is Richard Harriman. Richard, how you like ORP and truck racing?
I like this place, and I like watching the truck series. I think it'll be fun running. We got a pretty good truck tonight, so see if we can get a good run this evening.
All right, we wish you good luck. And, of course, he's in the 48 truck tonight, guys, making his first ever start in the Camping World Truck Series, driving for Andy Hillenberg.
Norm Benning on the racetrack now for his qualifying efforts. He was 33rd quickest in practice today. So wants to try to improve on that. Norm Benning has become a regular here in the Camping World Truck Series this season. His first lap, 24.316. That's an improvement on his final practice time, but no improvement on lap 2 for Norm Benning, 24.424. So he will stay in the 14th spot of the 14 that have been on the track.
Another one of the three-way battle for Rookie of the Year out on the racetrack right now, James Busher.
You know, James has got to be scratching his head a little bit, Phil. He got off to such a great start in this truck, really fast, really competitive. And just lately, I mean, he just hasn't performed at that same level. When we were at Kentucky last week, he got lapped a couple of times early. Now, they rebounded and came back to an 8th place finish, but that's just not the way that team started the season. They started battling for top 10s right from the drop of the green. They had good pit strategy, got a couple of lucky dogs last week, and made something out of nothing, which is important. But he's probably thinking he needs to be able to pick it up a little bit.
And one other thing that I'm sure he's frustrated about is his teammate is running better than he is right now. Rick Crawford has a little bit better truck here today. At least we've seen that in practice.
Well, remember now, James Busher is, what, 19, 20 years old? And Rick has been around here a long time. Yeah. Rick is the Iron Man of this series here, has the most career starts of anybody. So, you know, it's hard to match that experience that Rick has, and what a great tutor for James Busher here within the same team.
Remember him coming to the checker flag at Charlotte?
That was more tutoring.
That was more tutoring.
For 10th and 11th, I believe, was the battle.
Yeah, that was more tutoring there.
9th quickest for James Busher. He improves, or doesn't improve on his second lap. 22.794 is the fastest lap he's able to turn. Terry Cook getting strapped into his race truck for his qualifying effort. We'll be right back to see more trucks here at ORP. Welcome back to O'Reilly Raceway Park. AAA Insurance 200 qualifying continues. This time it's the 21 of Nick Tucker on the racetrack, about to get the green flag for his qualifying effort. First lap, 23.534. So he is 15th quick of the 16 that have been on the track in his first lap.
See if Nick can pick it up on lap number 2. He's a couple tenths of a second to move up one spot to get by the 08 of Butch Miller. He does it all the way up to 23.230 for Nick Tucker. So that will be 14th of the 16 trucks that have been on the racetrack.
And we go back trackside to Adam Alexander.
And Timothy Peters was third in that qualifying run. And I guess you know, based on your recent performance, the expectations for this team just getting higher and higher. How do you feel about it?
It feels great. Our StrapMasters.com Toyota Tundra was a really good qualifying lap, but our practice, we kind of struggled a little bit, but Chad Kendrick and all the boys made great adjustments during the downtime between practice and qualifying. So really looking forward to tonight. Really like to thank Tom DeLuch at Red Horse for giving me this awesome opportunity. And, man, I'm just having a blast. Awesome. Hopefully we can get to victory lane tonight.
An awesome opportunity that we should point out Timothy is making the most of.
All eyes on the race truck that's on the track now. Ron Hornaday, can he make it 4 wins in a row? It's never been done before in the Camping World Truck Series, and Ron Hornaday coming in with 3 consecutive wins. We'll find out if he can keep that streak going and make history tonight.
I'm telling you, he has a good shot at the pole here. He's only about a 1/10 of a second off Colin Brown right now.
And he's driving the heck out of that thing, and it's sticking. You know, you can tell he's really forcing it down in the corner, making it work, too. Doesn't pick up any time on that second lap, but that truck looks solid, doesn't it, Phil?
Yeah, and he can see the front from where he is. He's been in the top 10 for the last 22 or 3 races in a row, starting in the top 10.
You know how I talked about James Busher making something out of nothing at Kentucky, getting a top 10 finish? This guy did. I mean, he just willed his way to victory lane. Running 6th with just a handful of laps to go, a couple of restarts, boom, he's in the front and he wins the race. I don't believe he had the best truck at Kentucky. There's been a lot of times this year when he has been the fastest truck. Yep. By far, but at Kentucky, he worked his way to that win.
You remember just a few weeks ago, Mark Martin in Victory Lane said, I had to get me a Ron Hornaday restart. So when one of the guys that's won as many races as Mark has, and he credits Ron Hornaday for being a restart master.
One guy that's going to try to upset Ron Hornaday tonight will be Terry Cook. He's with Ray Dunlap.
You know, Rick, I was thinking earlier today, I've probably covered more races at ORP than any other track in America, and for most of those races, Terry Cook has been here with me. This used to be home for you, and I know there are a lot of great feelings about this racetrack.
Yeah, it's a lot of special memories here. We lived here for about 5 years, moved to the North Carolina area, and about, I think it was 2004, but a lot of special memories here. And a lot of the special memories were created just because it's a great racetrack. You know, this is a short track, but you can race side by side, lap after lap. It's not like our typical short track where it's single file, follow the leader. You can actually race here next to the driver's excited.
All right, Terry Cook is in his Cajun Industries truck, and he's about 4 away from hitting the racetrack.
Stacy Compton bumps Ron Hornaday down a spot, so Stacy Compton takes over the 3rd spot. Moves Hornaday down to 4th. More qualifying from O'Reilly Raceway Park. You're on Speed. Scene Daily and SpeedTV.com have teamed up to form the most powerful online news source in NASCAR. Visit SpeedTV.com now for in-depth analysis, breaking news, and more. I think that's the corn you were talking about earlier, Mikey, when they come out of 2 and you think you're going to go into a cornfield.
I've raced here several times, and most every weekend I feel like every time I've raced here I could have gotten that corn. I mean, somebody pinches you off a little bit, you see over top of that wall. That's unusual.
This is one of the lowest cement walls that we have on the circuit.
Richard Harriman on the racetrack now for his first Camping World Truck Series appearance. He was 18th quickest in his qualifying effort, 24.054 on lap number 2. Let's go back trackside to Adam Alexander.
Another week and another good qualifying run for Ron Hornaday in the top 5. You feel good about it, Ron?
It's the best the truck's felt. I mean, I wasn't ready for it. Just really rolled to the middle. I mean, I was getting on the gas later in the Apex, and I can get back on the gas real soon. So that says a lot for tonight. So if we can a little snugger up off the corner, we'd be really good.
Trying to go for history here this evening. 4 wins in a row in the Truck Series. No one has done it.
Wayne Edwards on the racetrack now in the number 47 Chevy Silverado.
That's another truck out of Andy Hillenberg's stables, the 48 of Richard Harriman, teammate to Wayne Edwards here in the 47 truck. 24.108, lap number 1 for Wayne Edwards, 102.439. Ray, who you've caught up with down there?
Well, Phil, I've got Rick Crawford in his truck, and there's only one truck in this field that has ever actually visited victory lane here. It's chassis number 17, and Rick Crawford's in it. Rick, been a while since you won. Can you do it tonight?
Yeah, we got the International Truck and Engine Ford F-150 here tonight. We won the race. It was the Ford Power Stroke Diesel, about 200 by International, and truck's been feeling good all day. We got our chances up for tonight, so if the truck's up for it, I know the team and Rick Crawford's up for it, so we'll put on a great show tonight for the NASCAR Camping World fans.
All right, we wish them good luck. They had a brake problem at Kentucky, took them out of that race real early, hoping to rebound tonight at ORP.
Wayne Edwards, 18th quickest of the 20 that have been on the racetrack, and I think everyone's holding their breath for this qualifying effort. Kyle Busch now on the racetrack in the 51.
He's just trying to figure that thing out. They didn't like it in practice, so he, you know, by the time you come to you leave pit road, you run through 3 and 4 to get the green. You pretty much have all the information you need when you take the green, because you analyzed what that truck did. You know what it felt like earlier. You analyzed what it did in turn 3 and 4, and you're ready to make your run at it.
And again, Kyle Busch was here for the first practice earlier today, and then he went to the big track to practice his Sprint Cup car. While he was doing that, Brian Eichler was in this truck for the second practice, trying to fine-tune it and get it ready for this qualifying effort. And it worked fairly well. First lap for Kyle Busch, 6th quickest, 22.664. Let's see if he improves.
Ooh, almost into the outside wall with a right rear corner.
They improved. Picked it up by 1/1000th of a second, 22.663 on lap number 2. But that holds him in the 6th spot here of the trucks that have been on the racetrack.
Watch this little wiggle coming off turn 4 here on his second lap now. And remember, this was his fastest lap. Watch this.
Oh, he just ran out of room. Looks like he might have been pushing, Phil. Got left his foot on the gas as long as he could with the front end not turning. Finally had to come off the gas a little bit, I imagine, and he still ran faster on that lap. So,
wasn't 2 inches between that right rear corner of that truck and the wall.
He was 12th fastest in the practice session that he participated in this morning. He ran about a half a second faster just then than he did earlier today. So, truck's definitely better.
As Ray was talking about, Terry Cook, a lot of experience here at this racetrack. One of 4 drivers that has made 12 of the 14 starts here at ORP.
Cajun Industries, we learned a lot about that company last week and all of the help that they did in the New Orleans area.
Good lap for lap number 1 for Terry Cook, 22.630. Ooh, and another sideways off turn 2. That's 3 or 4 of those trucks that we've seen that look identical coming off turn 2.
Don't expect this to be much of a pickup, if any, for Terry Cook after having his hands full coming out of turn number 2. His first lap will be the fastest, 22.630 is what he will be credited with. And again, as you mentioned, 6th quickest.
Watch this truck coming off turn 2, just like Jason White, and we had one other truck just like that. Look at that thing, completely sideways, leaving black marks.
22 have been on the racetrack. 35 are scheduled to take time. We'll be back for more qualifying from O'Reilly Raceway Park. Welcome back. AAA Insurance 200 qualifying continuing. Rick Crawford now on the racetrack. We've seen James Busher on the track already. He was qualified in the 13th spot earlier, but we've seen Rick Crawford run better in practice today. Let's see if that converts over to qualifying. And sure enough, it does. His first lap, 6th quickest for Crawford, 22.606.
Yeah, I was down in the garage here by Rick Crawford.
He's sideways.
There he was again.
I don't think he ever let off. He was sideways and wide open off turn 2.
Yeah, there's yet another one of those off turn number 2.
Like, he's still sideways.
I don't think he ever got straight from turn 2 all the way to turn 4.
A little slower on lap number 2, 22.725. The second lap.
You know, it's amazing. We saw how out of shape he was up at turn 2, and he was really pretty much out of shape in turn 4, and that was only 12/100ths of a second slower than lap number 1, and the truck looked a lot better in lap number 1. Nonetheless, a good run for Rick Crawford, 6th quickest.
We're running out of guys that are going to challenge for this pole.
Take another look now. Again, virtually a carbon copy of 3 or 4 other trucks. Now Rick's a little bit higher, actually, than some of those other guys. And look at that corner. almost into the outside wall.
Remember when I was talking about being able to see that cornfield? He could see it.
He could see it.
And he had to think at some point there was a chance he might wind up in it.
Todd Bodine now on the racetrack. Todd so close to being right up front and challenging for that win a week ago in Kentucky, and then the engine let go on him.
I think he had a rear end gear go
Rear
back.
end gear, yeah. We knew the smoke was coming out of the back, and so problems with that 30 truck. His first lap of qualifying, 12 quick, 22.710.
Like I said, Phil, there's not a whole lot of guys that are going to. Colin Brown rode off first.
He did as well.
Yeah.
We saw Todd Bodine slide coming out of turn number 2.
You know what's amazing? I was talking to Todd in the garage area this morning. I said, when are you going to win a short track so we can stop talking about the fact that you haven't won on a short track? A 17-time winner in the Camping World Truck Series, but never on a short track, but good pickup on lap number 2.
Does improve to 22.
7/1000ths of a second.
Yep, 22.703. Let's go back trackside to AA.
Stacy Compton currently third, Rick, and you said it could have been better. Where was your disappointment?
Driver just screwed up. It turned so good, I picked the gas up too early and made it push and had to roll back out of it. But, you know, just proud of these guys. Just Safe Auto Toyota. Every week we feel like we're getting better and better and better. And first thing you know, it's going to be big. You know, we just keep improving week in and week out. And good effort every week. We just need to finish it out.
When you're third and think you should be better, that's a sign things are going in the right direction.
Matt Crafton on the racetrack, second in the point standings. 96 points behind Ron Hornaday.
Incredible consistency this year for Matt Crafton. Good lap, number 1, 22.554. That right now is 5th quickest, but one finish this season worse than 11th. One finish this season worse than 11th.
And if history repeats itself, he's at least inside the top 5 right now in qualifying. So that means he has a shot at the win here.
And he may pick it up on lap number 2. Doesn't quite do it, about a half a tenth slower, so he will remain 5th.
22.554 is the time that will go in the books for Matt Crafton and his qualifying effort. 26 through 35 about to qualify. We'll be back for that. Keep it tuned right here on Speed all night. Following us in qualifying will be trackside. Greg Biffle and Juan Pablo Montoya are your guests. Then it's the setup with Chris Svoboda. The green flag will fly just after 8 o'clock for the Camping World Truck Series.
I have a great feature on Ricky Carmichael in the setup, and Juan Pablo Montoya was second quickest to Mark Martin in the second practice over the Brickyard, Mikey.
Plus, we're going to visit with some folks from Jeff Gordon's bowling tournament.
That's right. And I think you made sort of an appearance.
Yes, I think you might have been there.
You're going to enjoy that. That'll all be in the setup later at 7:30 with Chris Svoboda.
Feel a bit scared now, aren't you?
I'm concerned, at least.
Qualifying continues. It is Tommy Joe Martins that is on the racetrack now, the 44. 21st quickest in his first lap. Actually, second lap, I apologize. His first lap was 23.450. Picked it up on lap number 2, 23.137. Tommy Joe Martins, one of the drivers that is new to the Camping World Truck Series. And we head back to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. Rob Fuller has jumped in his number 71 truck down here, going to make his first ever start in the Camping World Truck Series. But guys in the NASCAR garage have known him for a long time as one of the best ever over-the-wall crewmen. He started back in, 97, I think it was, when you first went over the wall. But what's this about being behind the wheel now? A long-time dream?
Yeah, we've been messing around with the late models and the modifieds here for a few years, and I mean, we got a bunch of great racers there at R3 Motorsports, and we just decided to have one of everything. So we got the cup car, the bush car, the modified, the late model, now we got a truck. It's a great series. I think I'm going to have a lot of fun racing in it, and I just look forward to my first night.
All right, we wish you good luck, and of course his uncles Jeff and Rick Fuller, and Rob doesn't talk quite as funny as those guys do from up north. Adam?
And Rick Crawford is 6th on the board right now, but you had a little bit of an entertaining ride on the track. Take us through your qualifying run.
Well, that's International Truck and Engine Ford F-150. It's been driving good all day, and it even drove good during the qualifying run. It just lacked a little bit of, got on that Roush Yates horsepower up off the hood. It spun the rear wheels, and it did it both laps. But Kevin Starlin, crew chief for Circle Bar Racing, he was down here doing trap speeds on me in the middle of 3 and 4, and he said we should have been in the 40s. But if you can't get off a 4, I mean, that pretty well does your lap. But I'm pretty confident about the truck tonight. Hope we have a good night. The last race we won here was for the Ford Power Stroke Diesel folks, and tonight we'd love to win for International Truck and Engine.
That victory coming 3 years ago.
Dwayne Bischoff coming off the racetrack and not sounding great, but there are 35 trucks here, so he's locked in. He will race tonight, making his first start.
He had his hands full, too.
Yeah.
That truck was out of control.
Make some great cookies they give away on airplanes sometimes.
The Bischoffs?
Yeah.
Look there. Not only are we going to have the Aaron's Lucky Dogs tonight, we're going to have an Aaron's truck out there. Tim Bainey Jr.
Going to make his second start, I believe, this season.
Tim Bainey Jr., a 31-year-old, Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania.
Slots into the 25th position on lap 1, 23.939.
See if he can improve on lap number 2. Looks like he was a little more under control coming out of 2 than a lot of guys we've seen today.
They must have thought on the first lap they didn't quite give it enough gas off 2, Rick. So they gave it a little bit more, and they said, I must have done a pretty good job on that first lap.
Rick Crawford said he did that both laps and spun the tires.
Well, Tim Bainey Jr. picks up the speed but no position. 23.861, an improvement on time for lap number 2, but he will hold on to that 25th starting spot. We'll be back for more qualifying from O'Reilly Raceway Park after these messages here on Speed. Welcome back to O'Reilly Raceway Park. We don't think that's any relation to our own Ray Dunlap, but possibly. AAA Insurance 200 qualifying, continuing. They're looking good.
I thought they may have ridden with Ray in his truck or something, maybe.
Hey, Ray, is that your number?
We'll call and see if the cell phone rings. Now on the racetrack, Jason Cochran in the 89. That Chevy Silverado on the clock.
Another one of the drivers going to make his first ever Camping World Truck Series start tonight.
His truck's wobbly. He's hoping to get her up under him, but it's not doing too well.
Riding very high. That's one of the things that you can see when he throws it into the corners, hits the brakes, the splitter doesn't get down to the ground, so it's staying up quite a bit.
That means that's a conventional spring setup, not the coil bind that a lot of the teams running up front are employing. But right now, slowest truck so far, Jason Cochran, 24.734, 99.846 miles per hour.
And Colin Brown has put the mark up of 22.458. That's the fastest time in qualifying.
You know, Rick, the last 3 years here at ORP, one of which qualifying was rained out. But when we qualified in 06, David Reagan sat on the pole driving for Jack Roush. In 08, Bobby East sat on the pole driving for Jack Roush. And now Colin Brown's on the pole. So Jack's been on a roll here when you go for the pole at ORP.
They're making it 3 in a row, or trying to make it 3 in a row.
I think we have one guy that may have something to say about that, Dennis Setzer. Can never count Dennis out when you come here. Talked to him earlier right between the practices, and he said they weren't that good in the first practice, but they made some changes, and he was 17th quickest in the second practice. So not a little bit better, but you can never count out Dennis Setzer.
Don't count him out no matter where he qualifies either. He qualifies 16th or 17th. I think spring rubber maybe fell out of the 89 truck. He wasn't handling good, and part of his handling package fell out on the road, so that couldn't have helped anything. NASCAR's going to go see if they can round that up. But don't worry about if Dennis Setzer qualifies 17th, 20th. When they throw the green flag, you better watch him.
Yeah.
Because the caution flags fall at the right time. He gets himself in a position to make a call. See if we can see the spring rubber vacate the 89 truck. There it went.
Looks out of left rear maybe, didn't it?
Yeah.
And sometimes they will have those spring rubbers tied up in there, not even in the spring. But the way it was wobbling around, I think that may have come out of the spring.
What Phil's mentioning is that they're hanging there on the spring, but not in the spring. So on a pit stop, the crew guy can change the tire, shove a spring rubber in, and not lose any time. It's part of what all goes into making one of these 14-second pit stops that you'll see a little bit later on.
Right.
Maybe even 13.
Little tie wrap around that thing to hold it on there, and then shove it into the spring on the pit stop. Now making his way out onto the racetrack, Chris Jones in the number 87.
Chris was 22nd quickest in the final practice. Didn't actually get out in practice number 1.
First time he's been here to ORP. I'm sure it's an eyeful. These big old trucks fill this short track up in a hurry.
We'll see how Chris stacks up against the competition.
Used to be such a huge weekend when we came here with the nationwide cars, just coming to Indianapolis with all the mystique and the pomp and circumstance around Indianapolis. And then, you know, then in 1994, I think we added obviously the Brickyard 400 race, and then 1995 when the Truck Series came into existence. And what a triple header this has become for the last 13, 14 years.
Well, I remember, Phil, and I'm going to reminisce a little bit. 1989, I was fortunate enough to win the race here at ORP on Saturday night, driving in the Nationwide Series, and to me, that was at that time, that was one of the premier short track races in America. The history that this place had to it, and the guys that had won before me, to be able to come here and pull that out. I think I passed Mark Martin late in the going to win. Me and my buddy Scott Mercer loaded up in a Cadillac convertible that I bought on the way up here and drove back to North Carolina, and I didn't know if it got any better than that. I was pretty much sure if my racing career ended right then, I'd accomplished one of the coolest things ever.
Do you have the trophy in the back seat?
We did.
How about that smile on the Cat in the Hat? Jack Roush smiling about Colin Brown's performance right now.
Going for his third pole in a row here at ORP. No one else has been on the pole when they qualified since '06.
You don't think Jack Roush is committed to this Truck Series program? Obviously, he probably had something going on earlier today, just like you did, but here he is to watch his truck team and Colin Brown, Mike Beam, all the guys, and see how they can do. And I know that smile in Victory Lane in Michigan when Colin Brown took that Conway Ford into Victory Lane was pretty genuine for Jack.
This is Brandon Duchier that's on the racetrack now in the number 83.
He's got a lot of ERs in his name.
It's another new name to the Camping World Truck Series. We're welcoming them. There are 5 new teams that are coming into the Truck Series here at ORP. There's 7 drivers that are new to the series at this racetrack. So we've got some good things happening. You see the nickname Bones. I'm sure they put that on there because Duchier is a little more difficult to say.
Well, when I saw it written down, I thought, there's no way I'm ever going to try to say that. But you said it quite nicely, Rick.
I've been working on it all day.
You took those last bunch of ERs and just
combined them.
Run them all together.
Well, Brandon comes off the racetrack 27th quick in his qualifying effort.
You know, if they took the last ER off, I think it would be the same, wouldn't it?
I'm with you, Phil. For sure.
It's Chris Fontaine's turn now. He is not a newcomer to the Camping World Truck Series. We've seen him before.
27-year-old out of Lakeland, Florida.
Nice looking truck.
Whoa.
Ooh, he's another one of those that got sideways off the corner, but a nice looking truck. Chris has really been pretty good in the limited amount of times that he's been with us this year. He's had some great runs.
And that's what you're looking for. You see these new teams show up, whether it is Brandon Duchier or Chris Jones or Jason Cochran, Tim Bainey Jr. You see them show up, and then they start to make a little bit of progress, and you can see they're starting to understand not only how to drive these trucks, but how to build these trucks. And Chris is a guy that has done just that, all the way up to the 23rd starting spot so far on lap 1. See if he can pick it up on lap 2.
Chris has run 6 times this year. He does gain 1 position up to 22nd and 2 top 15 finishes. And with the type of drivers and field that we have in the Camping World Truck Series, a top 15 finish is something pretty special.
Chris, in his qualifying effort, improved a half a second over what he ran in final practice, so a big improvement. 3 trucks to go when we come back. Speed presentation of NASCAR Camping World Truck Series qualifying from O'Reilly Raceway Park is brought to you by Toyota. For the latest Toyota racing information, visit toyotaracing.com. Toyota, moving forward. That threat for the pole you were talking about, Dennis Setzer on the racetrack now. 21st quick on lap number 1. He'd have to have a huge improvement to upend Colin Brown.
Yeah, he's not going to get there, but as Michael said, whether he stays 21st or whether he improves on lap number 2, never count this guy out here. He is a former winner here at O'Reilly Raceway Park.
As he is at most every short track in America,
Exactly.
I think.
Across the start-finish line, he does improve to 16th quick for Dennis Setzer, 22.773. Let's go back trackside to Adam Alexander.
Rick, a moment ago you mentioned some of the new faces in the Camping World Truck Series. Tommy Joe Martin's one of those, and a lot of late model experience, never in a truck. How's the day going so far?
Well, I was fortunate enough to run a late model race here, so that was somewhat helpful. But I mean, nothing's going to get you ready for just jumping in the seat of a truck your first time out. It's a different experience. It was really good to know that we had a qualifying spot coming into qualifying. That takes some of the pressure off, but it's been a good day.
He's trying to make Nashville, Tennessee proud here tonight.
There's another new face, a new truck to the series. Rob Fuller in the Draco, number 71 on the track now.
Oh, got on the chip there. Must be going a little faster than they anticipated, Phil. That's a rev limiter.
I hope it doesn't eliminate the
Well,
rev.
it eliminates them too. It eliminates excessive.
It eliminates
RPM.
the ones up there past where
that he didn't get to.
That he didn't get to. So
pretty good lap for Robbie. 24th quickest on lap number 1, 23.206. Got into the chip again there going in turn number 3.
when I won the qualifying race at DEI in 2005, driving the Napa car for Dale, Robbie was my spring and shot guy, and he really knows about these cars and trucks and what it takes. He worked with Draco. They developed springs for the cars and trucks that we race, so he's very knowledgeable about what it takes to set up one of these things, and I think it's fun when a guy that knows so much about the setup on one has to get out there and drive it himself, and then he gets even a better picture of what it's like to tune on one.
22nd quickest for Robbie Fuller. A little bit of a pickup on lap number 2, 22.885.
Our final truck to take qualifying to O'Reilly Raceway Park is driven by Caitlin Shaw, just a 19-year-old out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. This young lady making her first ever appearance in a NASCAR event. So she's looking to have a good showing. She told me earlier her goal is to finish. She'd like to finish on the lead lap.
Yeah, that would be terrific. She's been running Hickory Motor Speedway in our area, not too far from our house, and doing a nice job. More of an open wheel background than a stock car background.
And she has a little bit of experience on this racetrack. She ran some USAC races here and has done a little bit of testing. But Caitlin, trying to get comfortable in a big vehicle. This is a 3,400-pound vehicle as compared to some of the smaller vehicles she's raced before.
And like we said earlier, a big vehicle on a small track. It's very intimidating to step in and try to figure this out. So giving herself plenty of room off the wall, just taking her time, trying to make sure she doesn't make any mistakes, learns a little bit tonight about her truck and what it takes to be competitive at this level.
32nd quickest for Caitlin Shaw. And that means that Colin Brown has won the pole. That's his second career pole in his 39th start. We'll be back to wrap that up after these messages. Welcome back. Immediately following us here in qualifying, as it has just wrapped up, will be trackside. Steve Burns and the boys. A little bonus coverage, actually. You'll be able to get Greg Biffle and Juan Pablo Montoya are the guests on that show coming up next. And then Chris Devoda and the setup kicks it all off at 7:30. The green flag will fly just after 8 o'clock as the trucks take on O'Reilly Raceway Park. Take a look at our front row. Colin Brown, again, this is his second career pole, his first pole at O'Reilly Raceway Park, just his second start at this racetrack, and Mike Skinner will start on the outside. We go down to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. And add on to that, remember Colin Brown with a nationwide series pole here, so you must really like ORP.
Yeah, it's been a good racetrack for me. It's a lot of fun. It's a cool place to race, and especially when you have fast equipment. Every time I've driven here, obviously been a Roush Fenway stuff, and always seems really fast. I don't know if it's the Roush Yates engines that those guys build or what, but man, we're always fast here.
You get to decide whether you're going to start on the inside or the outside tonight as the pole winner. Do you know what you're going to do yet?
Well, I think I get to decide, but I think my crew chief, Mike Beam, pretty much decided for me. He told me I was starting on the outside, so I guess that's where I'm picking, and it should be a really good night for this whole number 6 Conway Freight True LTL team. We had really good pit stop practice this whole week, so I know that's going to be important here tonight.
Okay, have a good time. He'll lead them to the green tonight here at ORP, and guys, remember, he'll be practicing here tomorrow in the nationwide car for Carl Edwards.
Okay, a lot of guys had a little bit of trouble. That's turn 2 right there, just inside the cornfield.
It looks innocent enough, doesn't it?
It really does. I mean, people walking across, no problem. But watch this now. Watch all these trucks that got loose up off of turn 2. There's Brian Scott, a nice little wiggle, leaves some black marks, and there's comes Terry Cook, almost a duplicate of Brian Scott. And there's Rick Crawford, a former winner here, and he's even a little higher than the other two guys. There's Jay White here, still good in practice. He gets big time loose.
These guys are on the straightaway. I mean, they pretty much, said, I got turn 2 done.
Oh, wait a minute, I'm not done.
Oh, I'm not done. Hold on.
That's downtown Indianapolis. Just a couple long irons away from O'Reilly Raceway Park. Colin Brown, again, will start on the pole. He just chose to start on the outside of row number 1. That might be the preferred line tonight.
That's the Conway Freight True LTL truck. And I wanted to see if I could say that as eloquently as Colin.
I thought you did a fine job.
I just stopped past the Brandon Dusher.
Now remember, Ron Hornaday going for 4 wins in a row. It's never happened before in the Truck Series. And we're going off now to bonus track side coverage with Steve Burns. Thanks for watching here on Speed.